the Patriot League. Coaches will tell us who inspired them and who inspired their players every day. That story and a look around the Patriot League, highlights, stats, and more coming up on AT&T at the half.
In fact, I'll throw one more stat out at you. How many road games has Duke played outside the state of North Carolina this year?
You're asking me all these questions I have no answer to, per usual tonight.
The answer is 1, and they're 0-1. They lost at Florida State. And in fact, when Notre Dame won at Pitt the other night, people were talking about what a bad road team they've been. They're only playing their 4th road game of the year. Colgate will play 17 road games this year.
By the way, to answer your earlier question, St. Paul. Duke's not playing in St. Paul, but the Frozen Four will be there. Jayu over Jones, extending his range.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Duke will not be in the Frozen Four.
9 now for Jayu of Colgate.
And we saw once again how tough Jayu is to guard because of his ability to both post up and step outside and hit the jumper.
Young man closing in on the 1,000-point mark, came in need of 36 to reach that coveted plateau. Could become the 3rd active Patriot League player with 1,000 points in his career, 28th in Colgate history.
And he'll do it as a junior. He's got another year to play, which should make Emmett Davis very happy.
Finer with a little interference from Keister, off the dribble with a miss. Jayu kept it alive for Venezia.
I just think from the perimeter, it's very hard for shooters to go left when they're right-handed shooters or go right when they're left-handed shooters.
Unless you're Jimmer Fredette.
Jimmer Fredette can go left, right, backwards, forwards.
Rolls on the drive, saw the opening going left, and he extends that Colgate lead. Quick answer from Holy Cross, no. Basket interference on Keister.
Be interesting to see a replay on that to see if the ball was still in the cylinder or if Keister in fact touched it, because it's hard to tell with the naked eye there. That's why it's a tough call for an official.
Holy Cross had made 7 of its last 9 shots to draw within 5, but the Crusaders have missed their last 2.
Good timeout by Emmett Davis there to cool Holy Cross off a little bit.
About a 10-second differential. Jayu catching in traffic, lays it up and off. Keister already has 1 in this first half. Jones defending as well, and it's Jones who is the culprit on that personal.
You see nice pass there, good cut. Again, that quickness getting to the basket, forcing the foul. Emmett, by the way, was trying to take a little credit for Jimmer Fredette since he's from Glens Falls, New York. And I said, well, if you could recruit your backyard, you'd have had him.
Second foul by Jones. Jayu connects from the line. Glens Falls, New York, in the Albany area, not far from the Colgate campus in Hamilton.
A little bit tough to get a player of that quality to not go to a big-time program like Brigham Young.
Colgate's all-time best was of that ilk, Donald Foyle, back in the mid-90s.
Well, if Jimmer Fredette's guardians or parents were teaching in Colgate, I think Emmett would have had a great shot to get him.
But Jayu would get a blow for the final 33.7 as Melville comes back in for Colgate.
Donald Foyle only recently retired, played 13 years in the NBA. Not the most famous player to come out of a Patriot League school. That would be David Robinson.
Beinert and Holy Cross spend the use it or lose it down by 11, and we'll step aside with the Crusaders and Raiders. Good first half for Yao Jayu.
Who, even though he went to the NBA after his 3rd year, came back and got his degree.
Discovered by his eventual legal guardians in the Caribbean islands of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. His guardians were Colgate professors. And of course, went on to the NBA, recently retired, and has done so much for education in this country. Now Brown driving, Hoban lays it up and in, and with the contact, a chance from the foul line for 3.
Tough shot there by Devin Brown because there was contact, and he just kept at it. After he got fouled as he's going up here, there you can see all the contact, and he just kept going, drew the foul, and got the ball up and in. Tough shot.
Second foul on Hoban.
And they
Brown, a very good free throw shooter at the line.
Sorry, Bob. They did a nice job there of running the clock down before putting the shot up. Oftentimes, when you're trying to run the clock down, players will get a little skittish and they'll shoot too soon.
83% from the line, 3-point trip. Huge possession for Holy Cross, at least.
That's why Milan Brown called the timeout, because he wanted to make sure he got the ball in the hands of one of his best shooters, and he did exactly that.
Now he's going to insert the 6'8" Obey Sacra on the ball.
Good job here to pressure, to make it harder to get the ball up court.
Rolls with the release, launched into the student section at the Hart Center here in Worcester, the Hart Center in Worcester, Massachusetts. And the Crusaders, of course, in the home white with possession first. Quiet first half for the backcourt duo of Andrew Biner and Devin Brown, who has possession. Gives it to Keister. Off the ball fake, drops it off. Hoban had trouble making the catch and couldn't lay it up and in. Instead, he had to take it away in midair.
Well, that was the whole difference, that he didn't make the catch clean. It allowed the defense to close and knock the ball out of his hands. You've got to catch it clean there when a teammate finds you underneath that way.
Late three-point play by Holy Cross through the Crusaders with an 8. Rolls off the dribble with a miss. Melville able to keep it alive. His shot rejected but out in play. Back to Colgate.
Well, Hoban getting a little bit even there with Melville for the block at the other end. But the difference being that Colgate retains possession. Nice play there by Hoban to go over his back and block the shot without fouling.
Hoban drains another, this one for 2.
That's 5 for 5 for the game and 4 for, and since it was a 2, I'm sorry, 5 for 5 for the game. I thought it was a 3, but we don't have a good view of the corner here.
Hoban now at 13 to lead Colgate. Jayu with 11 in the opening half for the Raiders. Back to a 10-point difference.
Again, very important to get that quick start for Colgate playing on the road.
Brown able to drive and knock it down for Holy Cross.
Nice move, similar to the one he made at the end of the first half.
9 for Devin Brown. It was his three-point play that gave Holy Cross some life headed to the break. Now Pascal out of the low post. Good double from Cavatello. Gave it up to Jayu. Won't get the roll. Yes, he will. Bouncing off the front rim and down.
Very nice recognition of the double by Pascal, turning around to find Jayu. So you want to double me, I'll get it to our best player.
Keister muscling his way in toward the hole, and he draws a foul.
From Pascal.
Nick Pascal, junior for Colgate, picks up the personal. That is his first.
Keister plays with what I call abandon. It seems like he's going right at you on every play at both ends of the court.
Keep in mind that before the conference season began, he sat out 3 games because of a right Achilles injury. It was a move that Milan Brown made, a calculated move, wanted to have Keister available as much as possible for the Patriot League season. Makes perfect sense. But even now, he's rarely practicing. Milan Brown jokes that he's kind of on an NBA practice schedule. As he
Allen Iverson practice schedule. Practice! But he practices essentially half a practice one day and then often sits out the next day just to rest that Achilles.
Miscommunication. Aaron pass from Melville to his head coach, Emmett Davis.
Well, Emmett was open, but he did not want the ball in that situation. I do not believe he called for it. You see, that's what you call it, exactly as you called it, a miscommunication, because one player's going one way and the passer thinks he's going the other way.
Although I don't think there was any misunderstanding the head coach's reaction to that play.
No, I think he got it. Colgate kids are very bright. They can pick up on stuff like that quickly.
Emmett Davis in his 13th year at Colgate. Nobody's won more games as the head coach of the Raiders in basketball than Emmett Davis. 161 wins to his name. Cavatello gave it up, got it back. Now looks to drive, cut off. Right back out to Keister.
It was 3 years ago that Colgate came very close to making the NCAA tournament for the first time since 1996.
Keister, under duress, missed with the run out by Rolls, who now takes it in from Pascal. Looks to push for the Raiders. Drives it to the hole. Had a shot partially blocked, but Colgate nonetheless able to clean up.
And that basket was the result of Rolls recognizing that no one was stopping the ball. And as long as they didn't stop him, he just went all the way to the basket. And by the time the defense closed on him, that left a wide open rebound.
Brown creating space on the step back.
That's a 2, but that's the first real jump shot he's hit in this game. The other shots he's hit have been going to the bucket.
Keep in mind, he hit for 33 against Yale in a non-conference game. And Brown now with 11. On the double, Melville foul. Able to go to work on Hoban, and that's his 3rd.
And I think Hoban is saying, I blocked the shot cleanly, and I think he did, but I think the contact came with the body, and that's what caused the foul.
Coming into this game, this young man who's really become a defensive stalwart for Holy Cross inside, had gone against J.J. Avila of Navy and Vlad Moldovanu of American.
There you can see he got him on the arm. Hoban got very long arms, which is what makes him such a good shot blocker. But he's going to have to come out now for a little while.
John mentioned those two players he had to defend the last couple of games for Holy Cross. The likely Rookie of the Year and a viable candidate, certainly a leading candidate for Player of the Year. He held them to 9 for 34 shooting from the field.
That's what you call a defensive specialist, because his offensive game is still very undeveloped. It will improve as he improves as a junior and a senior. But he's in there right now for what he does at the defensive end of the court and on the board.
And the gap for Holy Cross. Double figures at 10.
If you were going to say before this game that one team would lead the entire first 25 minutes, you would not have expected it to be the visiting team.
Brown able to kick it out. And a jumper from the wing by Dudzinski. Rebounded by Pascal. Able to gather it in. 7 rebounds for Nick Pascal. Rolls to Jayu. Open look.
Twice Mitch Rolls now has set up his teammates for easy buckets by going to the basket.
Off the hop step, Cavateo drew the foul. Pascal does a degree.
And you think about this, Bob. That may be the first touch Cavateo has had in this half. And if you're Milan Brown, you want him involved as much as possible. You want the ball to touch Cavateo, to touch Brown, to touch Keister on virtually every possession, because they are the 3 best offensive players this team has. Now, obviously, Bynard's going to touch it because he starts the offense, but once you get into the offense, those are the guys you want getting the ball in shooting positions.
And Cavateo leaves it short. Again, Holy Cross struggling from the line.
As they have all season.
65% from the stripe. It certainly was a factor in the 2-point loss to Bucknell. As well in the loss to American, though neither team in that game shot it well. Catch and shoot. Hoban for 3, his first miss from the field today. And a rebounding foul on the Raiders.
Milan Brown is over there saying, oh, he can miss a shot. He hadn't seen him miss one for almost 24 minutes.
Jayu with that personal for Colgate. James checks back in for the Raiders.
Just one on Jayu. It's interesting, Bob, how sometimes very good offensive players don't foul. And sometimes that's because their coach says to them, I'd rather have you give up a basket than commit a foul.
Sometimes they don't foul because sometimes good offensive players don't play defense.
They don't guard at all, no matter what their coach says to them.
Colgate,
there's good defense.
Nearly forcing a turnover, and indeed the end result is a giveaway by Holy Cross thanks to the hands of Brandenburg. Emmett Davis, head coach of the Raiders. Something interesting about him coming up on the other side. His team leads by 11.
Also was a point guard on Holy Cross's Patriot League championship team in 1993. I told Jack tonight that his dad played in the NCAA tournament. They played Arkansas in the first round. Roger said, yeah, I did, but not for long.
A 3 from the sideline, and Brandon James knocks it down for Colgate. He's got 5.
And that's a big possession out of the timeout for Colgate to get an open 3 and make it.
Bynard with a little
Trotter move there.
Maneuver is able to keep the dribble alive. In fact, Roger Breslin quoted Nolan Richardson when he talked about his experience against Arkansas. Bynard left open, launches the 3. And the rebound to James. Colgate doing a terrific job tonight, sealing Holy Cross off the boards.
And, Roger now works with Ronnie Perry Jr. In Boston at Colliers International, selling commercial real estate.
High-low, it's Brandenburg, the transfer from Virginia, rejected by Dudzinski. A freshman for Holy Cross. Bynard lowers the shoulder and draws the contact. Foul on the floor.
I'm sorry, Bob. Dudzinski's block there is what we were talking about with the depth Holy Cross has. That Milan Brown plays 11 guys. And so he can get help off the bench, excuse me, from almost anybody, including Dudzinski. They're a freshman, and that leads to the foul at the other end.
Jones and Dudzinski depart to Milan Brown's bench for Holy Cross.
Talk about